ToolShed Art Club.
I was thinking about a nice little elevator pitch for this, and I was thinking that it is dedicated to being curious to a fault, and also exploring art in its many forms. And the idea of the tool shed aspect is starting wherever you're at, whether you have a tool shed or a basement or a storage unit or wherever it is, to have your own spot to be creative or make art or write or paint, whatever it is, make music. That's kind of the idea behind it.
So we inspire people.
Yeah, we tell them people. Yeah.
Even if you have just a tool shed, you can start.
You don't even need the tool shed.
Well, I think everything starts in a garage or a tool shed, because garages are basically tool sheds.
I can only think of a few things that start off in a garage.
Apple.
That started in a garage. Oh, yeah, it did, huh?
Weezer, I'm assuming, because they have the song In My Garage.
I've heard that Metallica.
Safe.
Yeah, keep going.
No one cares about my ways.
I had heard that Metallica rented a storage unit and would practice in there. And when I say I heard that, that is high school band lore. So that may not be based in fact at all. So,
well, who told you it?
My friend who played bass. Pretty reliable source.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, everything starts in a garage.
When I think about that, I can't think of
anything. I named two things. Weezer and Apple.
Like, everything starts in a garage.
Cabela's.
That did not. That's not a garage?
In a garage, the guy sewed lures together and had a catalog and mailed it out. And then it blew up.
I wonder if Phil from Duck Dynasty, I bet he started making duck calls in his garage.
He did. I have no idea if that's true, but he did. I have a comedian friend that actually wrote for that show, and I could not even believe it.
They have writers for Duck Dynasty?
Yeah, for all reality shows, I guess. Yeah, for like the stories, how they want them to go. Dan Cummins is his name.
Is that public information, though? Is he going to be mad when he sees that you totally just dimed him out on?
I have no idea.
In front of millions of people on ToolShed Art Club? To the millions and millions watching at home.
Duck Dynasty is not real.
Oh, man. They're legit dudes.
The beards weren't even real.
Nah, that's a lie.
No, it was. They were makeup artists. Well, glued them on every morning.
Okay, that's a complete. I know that in the off season they shaved. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you Google like the Duck Dynasty guys with no beards, there's a bunch of pictures because supposedly, like, they would shave it in the off season. That's Duck Dynasty lore.
Well, they are. I don't even. They're businessmen.
Well, of course they are. Yeah.
I mean, when they shave their beards and then they just act like hillbillies when they grow their beards.
I think though that like Phil is exactly who he seems to be on the show. I mean,
is he the one who started it?
He's the
I've
dad.
never watched the show.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're. I'm sure as a stand-up show, it's probably like, okay, today you guys are gonna go out and try to do this. I'm sure like that's the writing aspect of it, but I genuinely think they're good dudes, they yeah, I think so for sure. So what, is that a mouse in the tool shed?
I think that's a cat. we put a bell collar
on the cat, but that's what I mean, man. That's what the tool shed's about. It's just the embodiment of starting wherever you're at.
The cat showed up.
So
that happened. We have a dog because the dog showed up, and then the cat showed up, and it was just like, meow, let me in. It really wanted in, and it had a hurt eye. And then I came home from a show one night, and it was like 1 a.m., and I'm watching TV. In the window next to the door, it peered in with its two little paw hands. It was like, meow, meow. And I was like, all right, well, I think I'm allergic to cats.
Are you?
I think so. I can't tell because I already have really bad allergies.
I get
because
that.
of outside, so I can't decipher between the two.
Yeah.
And but it came in. It lives. Now it lives in the tool shed.
What farmers, I feel like, don't really put a whole lot of stock into cats, and for some reason when you're saying that, it just showed up. I remember
we have cats everywhere. They're surrounding the house. They're being born. I got home at 1 a.m. the other night. They were coming out of the corner of our property, little kittens, white ones, gray ones, scattering.
Yeah.
So I'm currently being surrounded.
Yeah. So they just show up. One time I was at my friend, his dad was a pig farmer, and I was looking at something over at his house, and they had this burn pile, and on it, dude, was just a dead frozen cat with its mouth open. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And he's like, yep, Wayne doesn't put a whole lot of stock into cats. They just kind of show up. Like, he chucked it on the burn pile.
Why? Because it was frozen?
It just like died, and it was frozen. And yeah, he just like put it on the burn pile. So next time, yeah, I was like, dang, dude. In my household, we were like,
how did it freeze though? Was it,
I don't know.
A face of horror?
Yeah, it like died with its mouth open. I don't know how it died, but it was frozen by the point that I saw it. And I came from a household where, like, when a cat died, the whole family was in mourning and like buying a little casket and digging a hole.
That's how we roll, even with our animals.
Yeah, but I suppose if you got cats showing up nonstop, it's just like, hey man, I can't be giving all of you guys a respectful burial.
Yeah, one of our ducks got out of the coop, or we let it out of the coop, but it didn't get back in, so it spent the night outside. It volunteered as tribute, and it survived the Hunger Games. I woke up this morning and it was outside the fence, and I'm like, oh, you lived. There was no raccoons, because a feral cat, we got guineas.
Yeah, yes.
And guineas they're weird. They got their head looks weird. Like the way that they're made.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, I know anybody who just Googles a guinea, they just look, they don't look right.
It's like they made the body and then they, and then they jabbed in the head, and
that's a good way to describe a guinea.
Twisted it in its head, and they're like little raptors.
Yeah.
Well, they're smaller, they're not full grown. And apparently feral cats, like, they'll eat smaller chickens and ducks. So 2 of our chicks disappeared.
Ooh.
Completely. Vanished. No trace. Not so with the guinea. One of the cats went in there and and they're fast too. They're super quick.
So the guineas are?
They're like, they move like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
So it must have been asleep, but a cat, and I'm assuming a cat, because there was no, like, a raccoon couldn't have done it because their hands are small and weird.
Yeah.
And they're just clumsy. Like, this thing was a sneak attack. It jumped on it and pulled its head out. And its whole head was in the spine, was going down.
Oh, no.
So it decapitated it, and then the head was in another location. And
dang.
It was like Mortal Kombat. It was like the cat jumped on it, pulled its head out, and was like fatality.
Yeah, that really is like a Mortal Kombat finish, actually.
And we had a funeral. We have so many animals. Has funerals, more often than I care to mention.
I bet. Tell me about right before we start talking about this, though, before we went live, we're talking about Creed. Tell me about that. What's up with that?
Creed 3?
Yeah, Creed 3.
It was going good.
Okay.
It showed good promise.
Okay.
Acting was good. I was involved in the story. And then it gets to the end, where he does the workout montage.
Yes.
And it wasn't very long. It was like a minute. It was like, no.
What do you think is a respectable workout montage length?
Oh, I mean, we're talking like Rocky 4 is probably 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, you got to need like 3 or 4 minutes so we know that this guy really worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so he runs up a hill.
Yep.
And in the third one, above the Hollywood sign. And he's like, he yells, he roars like a lion.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go fight his best friend from childhood for the heavyweight championship of the world.
That's like the Russian dude's son, right?
No, it's just his friend from Crenshaw.
All right, I better say this right off the bat, dude. I've never seen any of the Creed movies.
Okay.
I've seen all the Rockies, but I haven't watched any of the Creed.
And I don't know why. So Sly Stallone, he was real heated. He's not in the third one. And there was like a fight, like he wanted the rights to it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they didn't put him in the third one. I kept meaning to look it up.
I had heard that like was it the second one where it's like, I've got cancer, I'm going to die. And then all of a sudden, like Stallone made it about him where he's like, just kidding, I'm on the comeback too. This movie's actually about me.
Is that what happens?
I saw it or something.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, it should be about him.
So you just what did you do? You just skipped over the first two and you just went straight to Creed 3?
No, I've seen the first two.
Oh,
but I mean, it was a while ago.
I see. Okay.
And they weren't, I mean, I really remember the first one, but not the second one. And so the third one, he does the montage, and then it goes into a form of CGI that looks like a video game. So they're fighting in the ring, but all the outside and everything, you can tell it's totally CGI. Like they're in a baseball diamond somewhere in LA. And it's just it looks like I thought that, I actually was like, what is this, a dream sequence? Because it looked so out of place and so terrible that I didn't know. And I'm like, oh no, this is actually the fight. And then at one time, it just turns into like the boxing ring. It all goes away and it just turns into a graveyard. And then they're fighting like with like a graveyard and fog or something and like a moon. And then it's like, did someone give me LSD? What am I watching? This isn't the same movie. And it's so bad that it ruined the entire movie and destroyed it. You got to have that real, authentic, like vibe to Rocky where it's raw.
Yeah.
You can't have them fighting in a CGI movie theater or a CGI video game.
Dude, that's insane. It reminds me that Stallone has kind of, he's been a little bit of a storyteller with the first Rocky. Now, I absolutely love Sylvester Stallone. I have to preface it with that. But so he was telling people, or he had in a book about the making of Rocky, how they basically shot it in one take, and that he said that the live crowd was confused because they weren't sure if it was a real fight or not, which I guess is like completely not true. Like it was a movie, and it was filmed as a movie, and there were takes and different angles. But if you ask him about it today, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the crowd thought we were really going for it, so they were confused. They weren't sure what to do."
Well, he took some hits.
I guess
First one, they were punching each other.
I don't know, man. Some of that stuff.
And then in like Creed 3, he's like Spider-Man. All of a sudden it's like, and then he like moves out of the way and like it's slow-mo.
Oh no.
Punches the side and then the fat on the side.
He got spider
fat
senses.
on the side goes like and like ripples. And then so I'm like, are they turning like Creed into like a video game type thing, like what they did with Fast and the Furious? Where it's like, hey, this is full on fantasy.
Yeah, I checked out of Fast and Furious after like 5 or whatever. I do want to watch.
You made it to 5?
I think so. I don't even know.
I made it to 2. The second they went to Tokyo Jams.
Dude, Tokyo Drift was cool.
I call it Tokyo Drift. Drams.
I think you need to give Tokyo Drift. Now that I'm gonna accidentally call it Tokyo Jams, you need to give Tokyo Drift a chance, I think. But I want to watch Creed. I just haven't yet, but I need to now and see. I am what a director wants in a moviegoer, because I buy into it, and if there's any plot holes and I get confused, I just blame myself. I'm like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. It wasn't until like a couple years ago where I started to realize that some major motion pictures have huge plot holes that a 10-year-old could point out, and they still get pushed through.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was Vin Diesel. He said, what'd he say? He said Tokyo Jams blows.
Dude,
it's his least favorite.
Call him back.
He's just on speed dial.
Well, okay. All right. Tell me when you saw him.
Hey, Vin, what up?
Hey, let me talk to him real quick. Tell him, or I just need you to talk to him for me.
Hold on a second.
Tell him that I said that Tokyo Drift is actually a pretty good movie.
All right, I got Matt over here, and he says that Tokyo Drift is his favorite Fast and the Furious.
That's cool. What does he say back?
He said you're wrong. That he was too soft. His midsection was too soft in Tokyo Drift, and that he doesn't like it because
he's not even in Tokyo Drift.
He's not.
No, he's
not even in. Oh, that's why he said he hates.
Oh, okay.
Not him.
Tell him.
He must be a true fan.
All right, tell him this. I've been wanting to tell him this my whole life. XXX is a white trash person's dream.
All right, XXX is a white trash person's dream.
And the reason why is because he gets to do all the military stuff, but with no discipline.
You do all the military stuff with no discipline.
Yeah, and then and that's pretty much it. Just like no accountability at all in any of it.
No accountability.
All right, hang up on Vin Diesel, dude.
Well, he hung up a while ago. He's on his balcony smoking cigarettes.
I can't believe Vin Diesel's out here saying that. Speaking of movie stars, though, dude, you, with your movie star best friend, witnessed a murder with Adam Devine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this dude was just sawed-off shotgun. 2 of them, pulled him out of a trench coat.
Gang.
Blew him in half, and we were like, oh.
And you and Adam took cover?
No, we were like, we told the guy that got blown in half, we're like, get him quick. He's going to get away, but he was dead. This is an actual person I know died, but it was...
All right, tell us the real story of the quote-unquote...
No, I got to L.A. and Ubered to Adam's place in the Hollywood Hills.
I honestly don't think that the Uber was a necessary part of the story.
It was a Tuesday. Well, I'm saying Uber because I want to mention the fact that I drove through Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And that it looks like the set of RoboCop.
Okay,
from
that makes
1984.
sense. Yeah.
All right. Like,
I mean,
tents everywhere. There was a woman wearing just underwear and then started pulling down her underwear and just scratching her butt cheeks with both hands really fast. Like, yeah. And then I even told the Uber driver, I was like, that lady's butt itches. It's like, you saw that? And you know what was the craziest thing? I guess this is nuts. My Uber ride, it was a Mexican dude from South Central.
Okay.
So you would think that a white man from Nebraska, getting in there, and then him, Mexican dude, South Central, born and raised on the playground is where he didn't spend most of his days because there was a gang rift. And if he went to the playground, he would have been shot and killed.
Amen.
And so, he was unable to play ball. And so you would think that this dude is like the Democrat voting for Democrats. That's what the media would have you believe.
Of course.
Okay? Not true. This guy, hardcore, started playing me TikTok videos of Glenn Beck, told me about the 15-minute cities. Granted, he is driving me around, and he's like, oh, you got to check this out. So he's playing TikTok videos and teaching me about 15-minute cities, about how, like, in the future, everything will be within this block that they put together. Like, so you won't need a car, you won't need anything. Like, everything will be, at your fingertips.
With that 15 minutes.
And then they'll have 15-minute cities everywhere, and we'll all be like imprisoned in these 15-minute cities.
He was doing that while he was driving in LA.
Yeah.
That seems like a quick way to get a horrible score as an Uber driver.
No, I gave him top score.
I mean, of course you did, but I'm just saying that's pretty risky on his part.
Yeah, he's going on and telling me like all these like conspiracies. So I even told him, I go, this is why the media lies. It would have you believe that, I would be the conspiracy Republican, and that you would be the Democrat who just wants to hook up with Nancy Pelosi.
Is that what the media's narrative is about Democrats?
Yeah, that everybody that like the sexiest people alive for Democrats, Joe Biden,
gang,
and Nancy Pelosi, and Feinstein. Like those are the heavy hitters. Those are the true beauties.
She Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi does have heavy hitters. You see that picture of her at the beach?
Are we talking about her? She has big boobs?
Yeah.
She does?
She does.
Does she really?
She does. Yeah, she does. I'm going to pull up the picture.
I mean, yeah, the fact that you're like heavy hitters.
Let's see here. But keep going.
No, I mean, these are, I don't even know. What am I even talking about? Now all you got me is, well, she's like 100.
Here you go.
Those look like the cans from the lady on There's Something About Mary that tans too much. That, like those conservative, those are so leathery.
I feel like
those are true saddlebags.
Conservative entertainment has kind of come together in acceptance that Nancy Pelosi's got them heavies, though. So
they're voting for her?
I think so. I think public opinion has changed on Nancy Pelosi. So, all right. So you're driving through L.A.
I don't know why I just pictured her in that scene in Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. Oh, I mean, I want to squeeze. Mama, it's just Nancy Pelosi. All right. So,
what about that movie where he can't say no? Do you remember that one?
Yes Man?
Yeah, that one.
It's like the same
I know.
premise.
She could have been in that movie too.
Is that the sequel?
No, it's just a movie. I don't remember what it is.
Zoe Deschanel.
But there's a scene with an elderly woman and he can't tell her no, and it's pretty horrible. But anyway, so you're driving through RoboCop LA on your way to your childhood best friend's house.
Yeah, and there's, this guy's like 15-minute cities, the apocalypse is going to end. There's tents everywhere. There's crackheads scratching their butt cheeks, broad daylight, sun fully illuminating their body, nowhere to hide, no shadows, just their bare butt. And yeah, so then we get to...
That's the way God intended, by the way.
He drops me off and... Hold on once.
Is that a duck? Well, we had to take a little bit of a break here, which the audio people may not notice. They're just going to hear the clip, but the people who are watching are going to see that you're also wearing different clothes.
And I'm holding a chihuahua.
Why did we have to take a break, Austin? This is horrible.
One of our main ducks that we've had since we started the homestead, Lulu, seizured out and died in front of my 10-year-old son while we were recording it because the males, they committed an atrocity. And they raped the poor duck until her legs broke. And we saved her.
Which is common for ducks?
Got rid of the males, during mating season.
That's insane, dude.
And so we separated her and put her in like a little cage. And my son went to check on her and she just looked into his eyes, he said. And then she went... and her neck broke backwards, and then she died. And the lights went out. So I had to go there, and then I had to change my shirt because it was covered in duck mud.
I'm trying so hard to...
mud mixture. And then Levi, the Chihuahua, he was following me, and he was like, I just want to be held because he's 15. And so I said, all right, I'm not going to deal with this right now. We got to call Brendan.
So we're talking about, you and Adam in high school. We ended up talking about music, and I know Brendan from Wheatus, and so I texted him and was like, "Hey, can I get you? Can we put you on the show?" Now I didn't know that this was going to be interrupted by a horrible, the duck passing away. So we're going to have to cut this in. But Brendan said, "Yeah, I can do the show." So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll give him a call here.
Yeah, Brendan, when we graduated in 2001, and then when we moved out to California, Teenage Dirtbag was a mainstay. I mean, we played that over and over again as we headed to the coast.
Wow. So what year was that?
That would have been, we moved out there in 2002.
Oh, wow. So it was early days. Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I love that. So I always fascinated by that period because, Teenage Dirtbag came out in August of the year 2000. It was released in America first, and it made a little noise, but it really didn't do anything on the American charts. And by the time November 2000 rolled around, we'd been on the road for 4 months or 5 months at that point, and we were playing shows in Lawrence, Kansas, in front of 2 people who thought we were Smash Mouth.
Hey, Lawrence, Kansas was an awesome place for live music, though. Did you like that place?
It still is. It's still one of my favorites. And I'm being perfectly honest, that was the show, that 2-person show in Lawrence was one of our favorites. For the first and only time ever in my entire life, I smoked weed before I went on stage there. And played a brand new song that was really tricky, a song called Lemonade, which since has become one of our fan favorites, but at the time was just this brand new track. And that's kind of showing you where we were at. Teenage Dirtbag had come and gone at that point. It was, as far as we were concerned, it was kind of over, so we were trying all kinds of new shit. And what we did that night, we never repeated that whole smoke weed thing. We never went on stage high. That was what happens if we do this? Really dumb idea too, because it was just I was just scared. but after that, it started to get momentum overseas. So Australia was first, and then the UK and the rest of Europe kind of happened, and we wound up living in London for like 2 years. We left America, and I'm always fascinated by stories of people who were like, "Yeah, man, summer 2002, summer 2003." I was like, "Wow, like I'm in America? Like, was it really?" Like, it always surprises me, and you're one of those people, so that's kind of weird and rare and interesting.
Not just him though, Brendan. Adam Devine was one of those people too.
It was Adam Devine's favorite song back when we moved out to California.
That's crazy. I had no understanding of that. I had no connection to what was happening in America with our music from about 2000, late 2001 through right after September 11th was when we were really started to establish ourselves overseas, and we were like gone. So anytime anybody's talking about that period, it's so strange to me. We had no connection to it. We didn't feel it. We didn't experience it. We came home to New York and still lived in my mom's house, kind of because we weren't going to be there long enough. I didn't actually have a home in America from about 2000, end of 2001 through 2004, and then 2004 I moved to Brooklyn.
Dude, let's talk about your mom's house too real quick. So you actually did you record Dirtbag in her house, or that first album, or what was recorded at your mom's house?
The entire first album was recorded in the house I grew up in.
And that hit was recorded at your mom's house?
Correct.
Dang.
100%. That's awesome. The version that became a hit was recorded in my mother's house. So I did say, during the 90s, I moved to Lower East Side when I was about 23, about 1996 or so. And I lived and worked in Manhattan, working with other bands, making other records, and all the while kind of working on what would become the first Wheatus record. And I didn't show it to anybody for a long time. So 96, 97 was actually I started it in 94 at the last year of college in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But from that period through moving to New York, 94 to 96, I was workshopping the record on my own.
Yeah.
I wasn't showed nobody. I was really scared. And at that point, 97 or so, we started playing shows. I got my brother in the band. Rich Lee was a bass player. But we still were only on our second or third iteration of the recording. So they were we re-recorded that song and a bunch of other songs for album one 4 times. Dang. Before we hit on the final one, which was done at my mother's house. And that was after we got the record deal. So we were super cautious and super frugal about the whole thing the whole time, basically betting on the fact that it would never happen. And, right around the time that you and Adam were enjoying it in California, we were really convinced it would never happen.
That's crazy.
We were like people without a country. We lived somewhere else because people cared about our music somewhere else. And we came home, nobody knew who we were. It's just like that. So, what a strange turn of events. What you guys were into it. It's so strange.
Wasn't it on the soundtrack for Loser?
Technical note, it was not actually on the soundtrack, but it is the opening song in the film. So it was weird, again, we're like this belly of alternative rock in the early 2000s. We're just never quite there, I was who's this guy? But the movie used it as the intro shot, which I was really proud of for 2 reasons. First of all, The Blues Brothers is my favorite music movie. It's hands down the best one ever made, if you ask me, for just a musical movie. And the opening shot is Jason Biggs talking to his father, played by Dan Aykroyd. And I felt like I had my song playing in the background while Elwood Blues was on the screen. I was freaking out. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Of course, fast forward from that summer when the movie dropped, the way you guys were rocking it in California. We were living in mom's basement while we were home. You know, it was so many expectations had come and gone. You know.
Oh yeah, man, I know that.
It was good. It was a good couple years for reality, if you know what I'm saying.
Did you guys ever play at the Ranch Bowl in Omaha?
Oh man, I don't know.
Okay.
The honest answer is I don't know. Maybe.
Because I'm wondering if we got into it. We used to go to a lot of shows at the Ranch Bowl, and it was like a kind of a music hub for the Midwest. And so we saw like a lot of bands at the tail end of the 90s, like Good Charlotte,
Wow.
Less Than Jake, like a lot of punk bands and stuff. So I was just wondering if maybe you had came through, and that's kind of...
It's possible. Can I tell you a funny story about a Good Charlotte show early on?
Oh, yeah.
So I love those guys. They're really fun, good people. And early on, it's like, I think it was August maybe, or early September of 2000, we played our first festival. And it was with E6, Good Charlotte, 9 Days, Marvelous 3, Cowboy Mouth, all these Two Skinny Jays, all these really like interesting, fun, like.
Oh, dude, we were huge Two Skinny J fans.
Yeah. So that's a great band. That's an underrated, fantastic band. Everybody go stop listening and go listen to Two Skinny Jays right now. But the vibe then was like, yeah, it was like right after Woodstock 99 had just happened, right? And this is the following summer. The stench of like new metal is still kind of like festering like a piece of sulfur like on the asphalt, you know, like still kind of like. And there were these other bands that didn't play new metal that were sort of indescribable, and this was one of those festivals that hosted a lot of that, right? Like as Max from E6 would say, sort of like, you like alt rock. You know?
Yeah.
So it was that, and we're on stage, and Joel and Benji come on stage during Dirtbag, and the festival's kind of hopping, and it's really fun, and we're working our way through Teenage Dirtbag, and I can never remember which brother it was, but one of them did like a sprinting stage dive, like ran from the back of the stage really fast, jumped, and came up a little bit short. And clipped his shoulder on the barrier.
Oh.
And broke his collarbone.
Oh, man.
And it went from this was like a harbinger of what kind of an autumn we were about to have touring the States for the first time, right? It's like this happened, and then like it went from this glorious like sun-drenched, you know, mountainside Pennsylvania moment to ambulance pulling up, you know.
Oh, that's proven.
It was great.
Yeah, that's the worst too, because he was still like projecting into the audience, then with the broken collarbone too.
Yeah, so I caught most of the commotion out of the corner of my eye. I'm performing, singing, and playing guitar at the same time, right? So yeah, I caught the flash of him like jumping in, and like all of a sudden, like something's wrong. The crowd stops jumping. He's on the ground. Security's running out.
He's got bones sticking out of his neck. Yeah.
I was supposed to be watching the crowd surf right now. What happened?
You know. Brendan, how long are you going to be overseas? Are you coming back to America and then you're going back out in September, or how's that work?
Yeah, I'm just out here for a week. And then we're back in New York working on. We have if you go to Wheatus.com/shows, you'll see the whole entire like touring agenda. I think there's like 66 shows happening this year or something crazy like that. And 45 of them are in the UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
And the rest are festivals and club shows in the States that are shaping up pretty cool.
I was thinking we should do like a full episode in like July or something when you're in the US, because Austin is a wealth of knowledge with a lot of that music stuff. He's actually working on a documentary about the Ranch Bowl. So yeah, so he's talked to you. It was you who's interviewed all those bands, right?
Yeah, so far like 311 and Blue October, I mean, the list, we've got like 45 people down.
But yeah, it would be fun for us to just do a full episodes, because you guys could talk about that period in time a lot. So we should definitely schedule it.
It was the best music of all time. Do you agree?
Well, count me in, man. I mean, I love, nothing makes me happier than to have somebody else recalling fondly a time where I was like, felt like I should have kept my day job.
So did you make the album in your mom's basement or garage? Because
so no garage. There was no garage in the house.
Okay.
We just had the basement. So we had the drums and the guitar amps and the bass amp. Where all the loud stuff was in the basement. And we ran the cables all the way up to the dining room, and we completely annihilated her dining room with gear. You know, like
nice
racks of recording gear, and like the console is on the dining room table. And there are pictures and there's footage of this in the documentary that Vice did about Teenage Dirtbag.
Yeah,
I want to check that out. And there's a lot more of it in a movie that's being made about us called You Might Die, which is essentially about the worst years of our touring in the sort of, I would call them like the desert years, where it was like 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the years before Dirtbag started to do something again, before One Direction. You know?
Man, on the drive up here today on the studio, because I knew we'd be talking about this period of time, so I was listening to, Blink 182 and a lot of Wheatus. I was listening to Lemonade. And okay, at your last show in Omaha, Brendan, it was cool because, I was there, and it's the first time I've ever had a band where you guys were just like, all right, what songs you guys want to hear? And I kept yelling out songs, and I yelled out that song Tipsy, and I think it was Tipsy. Is that the one that you guys weren't able to play? I always wanted to ask you.
We didn't have that one. We didn't have that one worked up.
Dude, that song should have. Is that a cover song or what? Like that? I don't understand why that song was not like the biggest hit, because I absolutely love. It's an amazing song. People need to look up "Tipsy" by Wheatus if they have not heard it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. No, Tipsy's kind of a complex song. It's from the 7th album. It's the leading single from the 7th album, which is not finished yet. And the 7th album is sort of, we're experimenting with like really, really, really heavy sounds.
Okay.
Trying to make a record that is not metal with the sound of metal that I grew up kind of like playing along to, like Metallica's and Justice for All, whatnot, and the sounds that the fans use, but not actually metal. I'm also incorporating like a lot of jazz stuff. But when I say jazz, I don't mean like neoclassical stuff jazz. I mean like the old version of jazz where it was like pop standards, because jazz used to be pop music. In the 40s, 30s, and 40s.
Of course.
Pop. So like I was just kind of getting back to those feelings, trying to merge those two worlds, the original like pop chart standard jazz from the 30s and 40s, and like the tones of 80s, 90s metal.
Well, that song, that I'm glad that song will be a leading single on it, man, because that is an amazing song. Do you remember? Austin will think this is funny. So Brendan would be like, all right, what song do you guys want to hear? And this is like, a couple songs in, and there's this group of chicks, and they just keep going, Teenage Dirtbag, and it's like, well, we're not doing that yet. So the whole show, they're just obnoxious, and afterwards Brendan looks at him and he's like, hell for me would be being stuck in this room with you while you yell at me to play Teenage Dirtbag.
Did you say that?
Oh yeah, but it was funny. It was not mean. It was funny. It was genuinely funny. So the other thing, I brought my sister to the show, and Brendan signed my poster, and he said to Mr. Magoo. And Brendan had asked my sister if I had any childhood nicknames, and she's like, Mr. Magoo, that is what they would call me when I was a baby, which I didn't even know. Brendan learned that was my nickname before I did. So Brendan signs it, and he's like, hope you're not mad. And I'm like, I didn't even get it. And my sister's like, we used to call you that when you were a baby. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I learned that when I was
like a super inside joke.
yeah. Yeah.
The joke doesn't even get it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, that show was a blast. Well, Brennan, I told you that we would have you in and out in like 5 minutes, and it's been almost 20. So before I let you go, I want to see if you wanted to take part in this. So every week we're going to do a little bit of a challenge for people to create artwork of some sort. And I was thinking, this is my idea for this week. We'll have some sort of a Wheatus themed challenge, and this is my idea for it: is that the artwork has to include a duck for the duck that passed away, rest in peace, and it has to include a bucket hat, like Brendan wore in the Dirtbag video, and then the Wheatus logo has to be on there. And if someone wants to make a painting, a drawing, or something, and send it to us on all our social medias, the links will be in the bio. We'll review it, and the winner will get. Brendan, if I pay for you to ship out a CD in the States, you'll be back to sign it, right?
You don't have to pay me for that. I'll throw something at the gift pool.
Oh, you don't have to do. All right. We'll work out the details. But I want to get like a signed Wheatus CD or something for the person who wins. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. But I have to say, based on your description, the duck with the bucket hat, the whole thing, there's no way we're not going to get some sort of Disney copyright infringement situation happening here.
Is there a duck with the bucket hat?
I mean, I think there is. Yeah, isn't that like one of the like iconic?
Oh yeah, the Daffy Duck, right? I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a captain hat, though. The bucket hat will be. No, it could be a band. It could be Wheatus as a band, but instead of humans, it's ducks. Yeah.
Was it Lulu was the duck that?
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways we could take it, but winner will get a signed CD from Brendan. So okay. Yeah. All right, cool.
It will be made out to Mr. Magoo. People will be like, what is this?
Yeah. Let us know if you want us to have him put Mr. Magoo. Well, just I guess let us know. But yeah. Submit that artwork in. We'll have all the links in the comments section, and we'll work out the details with that. So, Brendan, thanks for coming on, and then I'll talk with you later, and we'll line up just like a legit interview. We'll Zoom you in, and we'll talk for 45 minutes sometime, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys. Nice meeting you, Austin.
Yeah, nice meeting you, man. Thank you.
Let's wrap this up, and we got some surprises for people in the future. We're kind of sitting on an interview with a member of the Manson family. So we'll go into more details into that.
Yeah, we're going to have on a guy that's like never does interviews that's 90.
Yeah.
That stab people.
So we're going to go from Brendan from Wheatus to a member of the Manson family. But yeah, so with this art challenge, like we had said with Brendan, we want to
never loved me for the teenage dirtbag that I am.
We want to see some artwork, and the stipulations here really is that it has to include duck, the Wheatus logo, and bucket hats. Do with that what you will. It could be anything. So
I like the idea of having the Wheatus band members as ducks.
Yeah, you could have a duck with a Wheatus logo bucket hat pouring out a 40 for the other duck who passed away. Rest in peace.
Yeah. If you do that, then I might pick that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being respectful. So
100% bias.
Yeah. So we'll close it out. All of our links are in the social media, but I'm thinking that the best way for them to submit the artwork, go ahead and DM us on social media, tag us on social media. Our emails on there, all the stuff is in the comment or is in the description below. So check that out. Send us what you got, and the winner will get a signed CD from Brendan from Wheatus.
Next week, we talk to a member of the Manson family and discover dark secrets about, the Manson family.